Hello, hello. Welcome back for another episode. Really appreciate you joining us. If you haven't checked out the entire series here, the entire playlist, I've got a ton of agents that we've talked to. And now that we're in middle of February here, I think there's like 10 or 12 episodes there. Anyway, one agent from every single state is what we're doing here. Literally 50 agents over the course of this year that I'll be chatting with. So if you need a referral somewhere, agents, if you need a referral partner somewhere, we split California into northern and southern, just so that we could have complete coverage there. And I know we could probably do a lot more in California, but I wanted to be the one-stop shop here for someone moving to an area, someone moving away from an area. Maybe Mike lives right down the road from you and you don't even know it, but I just wanted to be able to introduce you to 50 professionals that I've gotten connected to here in the last year, and have a one-stop shop for everything real estate. So no matter whether you're, again, moving away, moving to, investing in, whatever you're looking to do in this particular area, we will get right into it now. Thanks so much. What is up, Mike? How are you? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thanks for having me on your podcast here.
Well, no, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super busy, as every agent, I feel like, in the United States is right now. No matter what part of the country you're in, it's bananas. But I appreciate you taking the time and taking a couple quick minutes here to chat with us about your business, what makes you different, your history, just to give people a little bit better sense of what they can kind of expect, whether they're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, not just with you, but to give people a little more of a flavor, right? We all know how powerful video is now, but as you heard, I wanted to create a one-stop shop for agents, for clients, for I can't even imagine as far as this thing might reach. So I'm really excited to have you here. I really appreciate you taking the time. For the people that don't know you, please give us just a quick rundown on who you are, where you are, what you do, a little bit of your history in this industry, but also, your perfect clientele. What does that look like for you?
So my name is Mike Velez. I got my real estate license when I was 18. That was quite a while ago. I did loan origination for about 2 years. And back then I was refinancing people that had like 13, 14% interest rate loans. So, and we'd bring them down to 7.5. And it was like, wow, literally like thousands of dollars a month that they would save. And I was into radio control cars at the time. My father and I had a retail hobby shop. And it was funny. I got out of mortgage origination because I couldn't control everything. I was young. I was a control freak. And, what do you mean the verification of funds isn't in there, or the verification of employment? So there was too many things, and I'd be listening to, back then, there was very, very little internet. So, I would listen to the business radio station on the AM to find out what the bond yields were, to find out if I was going to make any money on the loan, the swing. I couldn't go to my client and say, oh, I got to charge you more. So I would eat it. It was, so sometimes the bond market, whichever way it swung. Anyway, it was too much. I couldn't handle it. So I got into the magazine business. I started a radio control car magazine. It was a reflection on the educational system in where I grew up, because my writing was horrible. Like, I remember the first episode or issue, my brother-in-law proofed it, and it was just a solid thing of red ink. And I'm like, yeah, I passed. I graduated, So anyway, I did that. That turned into actually a pretty big business. At total, I had 4 different magazines over a 23-year span. All of them were distributed in nationally, Walmart's, 7-Elevens, all the bookstores. One was radio control cars. One was radio control helicopters. One was beer, which I'm not really a beer drinker, but my editor was a big craft beer guy. And we actually launched too soon We launched before the craft beer explosion really happened. And then the last one was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu magazine. So, and I don't know about you, but the last time, I can't remember the last time I bought a magazine. And, you know, I had 16 employees. We were doing about 3 million a year at our peak. So it was a real legitimate business. And then just, you know, people stopped buying magazines, and I'm not a quitter, and I hung on to the bitter end, and it was just, you know, this slow bleeding death of, you know, it'll get better, and it's not getting better.
Yeah.
So in 2018, I guess I decided, you know what, I'm going to get back into real estate. I had a few other businesses, smaller businesses besides the magazines, but got my license again in 2019. And earlier this year, I opened my own brokerage. And that sounds bigger than it is. It's basically me here alone in a 1,000 square foot office space. I have a transaction coordinator, and I have kind of an assistant, my daughter. And but I just actually signed with Side Inc. I don't know if you're familiar with them. So they started in California. They handle Texas and Florida, and they go after teams that are high producers. Last year I had a great year. I did almost 20 million in production. And they sent me an email and had a conversation, and basically they're going to provide my back end, the marketing stuff, the compliance, all the stuff that I haven't been doing as well as I should, because I've been just trying to, you know, get a check, you know, help people out. Oh, that sounds bad. Edit that out. No, just kidding. No, helping people, you know, showing properties, going on listing appointments, getting listings, and all the stuff that, you know, pays the bills. So I'm really excited about that. And this isn't a plug for Side, you know, I guess it is, but it isn't. And I don't know, they might suck. So I'm going in it with the hope that they're going to relieve a lot of the pressure off me to be able to really grow. And I can start getting people in here, get a small team. You know, we all have them. There's those offices that have 1,000 agents. And I subscribe to a service called Broker Market or something like that. You can basically go in and see everybody's stats. And it's pretty surprising. You go into these offices and there's like 5 top producers, and the rest are like, they sold a lot, you know, they sold a lot last year. And so that's not really what I want to do with my brokerage. I want to have kind of like a, you know, Navy SEALs or, you know, an elite team. Everybody says that, but that's what I want. So
yeah,
so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I get it. No, well, and I think there's, you know, there's so much still yet to be learned about, you know, what the future of real estate looks like, right? There's people creating brokerages, there's people joining other brokers. Like our industry is changing, and it hasn't been disrupted like I think a lot of people think it has when the internet and Zillow and a lot of these other platforms came out. But you know, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what this next, you know, 8 to 10 years has to hold for us, because I do think there will be something in technology that will really commoditize a lot of agents out of this business. And as you and I both know, it's mostly relationships, right? It's mostly, you know, who you know and what point you're in front of them, and the consistency that you have in your business, right? So talk to us a little bit. I mean, as I was, you know, getting prepared for this, I was scrolling through Instagram. You obviously have a couple very interesting pictures on your feed there, and the most recent one being with Joe Rogan, which love him or hate him has been in the news a ton here recently. So talk to us a little bit about the passions, though, and not just about those pictures, but the passions behind the pictures, and what you do when you're not buying, selling, or investing with your clients.
So, you know, I've been kind of a passion guy my whole life. So my first magazine was about radio controlled cars. And that's what my dad and I used to do when I was growing up. We used to go race, you know, Friday night at 11 o'clock, we'd be out in the cold, you know, racing little RC cars. And I made a career out of it. I got into helicopters and, you know, kind of like drones, but with 1 blade or 2 blades. And that was something I was into. And I got a magazine, and, you know, I was rubbing elbows with the top most elite people in that field. The beer magazine, I had a beer with Jim Cook one time at the Great American Beer Festival. So, the magazine was a vehicle that got me into like these elite stratospheres of whatever industry I was in. The most recent one was jiu-jitsu. And if those of you who aren't familiar, it's a Brazilian martial art. It started in Japan, back to India before that. But anyway, the magazine got me to meet some amazing people. And that Joe Rogan photo, I just happened to run into him at the airport. That was back in like 2008. I think he just started announcing for UFC. And, I could be wrong if I get fact checked on this, but I was going to an RC car race and he was going to a fight. And I'm like, hey, you're Joe Rogan. And so we took that picture. And then in the jiu-jitsu circles, his professor, Eddie Bravo, I done a ton of stuff with him. Jocko Willink, hopefully a lot of you know him. And if you don't know him, you should, because, your leadership skills will come way up. But I've done stuff with him through the magazine. And actually, I kind of use that. I'm sure the Bigger Pockets podcast. I don't know. Oh, David Green was talking about discipline equals freedom, but extreme ownership, Jocko's book. And I sent him a message. I'm like, hey, I might be able to connect you guys. And I'm not going to go hang out with Jocko after this, but I've got a cell phone, which I'd probably have be woken up in early in the morning with an unpleasant, I don't know. Anyway, I can't give it to anybody, so don't ask for it. But anyway, I connected David Green and Jocko, and he went on the podcast. And last summer, I took my son, his company that he owns part of in Maine. They have a jiu-jitsu camp I've gone to a couple of times, but I took my son, and that was awesome. But those are my passions. So everything that I just mentioned, and real estate, helping people. And my wife is always getting on me because she's, I'll talk about a couple that we met or that I met that I helped buy a house, and, they end up becoming friends. In fact, that camp that I went to, that I took my son to, a client of mine that I met maybe 6 months earlier, he's like, oh, I want to go. And he's never done jiu-jitsu before. And he went with us, and it was awesome.
Wow.
So it sounds corny, but man, I really love what I do. The business experience from the magazines and the other businesses I've had is really a huge benefit. Real estate, for good or bad, there's a low barrier of entry, and a lot of people come into it with not a whole lot of life experience. And me, with all this gray hair, I've had a lot of experiences. Jiu-jitsu specifically, it's a very strategic thing. It's like some people call it human chess, and it really is. You have to put yourself in your opponent's shoes, like at the same time that you're in your shoes. So really and writing offers, negotiation, that's helped me tremendously in knowing, or just putting myself in the other, not the opponent, but the other side's shoes. And what would be advantageous to them that isn't obvious? And doing that on the fly all the time, it's really helped me a lot. And I use it in CrossFit and jiu-jitsu people and vegan, all cut from the same cloth, because we can't shut up. I do CrossFit too, if you didn't know that, but yeah, we can't shut up telling people, because we want other people to enjoy the benefits that we've received. And when Joe Rogan talks about jiu-jitsu or Jocko or anybody, that's what they're doing, or Russell Brand is into it now. But anyway, so I can't remember what you asked me, but that's
no, you covered it all. And this is why I like the informal nature of these, honestly, is because a little more of your personality comes out, but we get to hear a little more about what you like to do when you're not working, because as you know, with video and with social and everything else, it's just a matter of time before someone finds an inflection point, right? Something to connect to. And so I'm a big fan of Joe and Jocko and everything that they've done, not just for the sport, because I think, You don't know this about me, but I used to do a ton of kickboxing and Muay Thai and stuff, and the gym that I hung out with and trained at was really into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And one of the trainers there was like, "You should try it. Like, I think you would really like it." And so I think I went to like 4 or 5 classes, and I did. I really enjoyed it because you're right. It's such a mind twist because, like you said, you're trying to do your best to beat the person, but you're also trying to think about what's the next move that they're about to make. And to me, there's a lot of parallels there, obviously, in business and in being an entrepreneur, and certainly in real estate when you're negotiating and there's two forces that are battling back and forth. Um, but speaking about extreme ownership, I feel like there's almost always an opportunity for us to point the finger when things go wrong during a transaction, or when you're rolling, or like there's life is all about mistakes and failures, right? But talk to us a little bit about that philosophy, because to me that's one thing over the last year or so I've tried to really dig into, is that extreme ownership, that everything is my fault. Like I accept everything. I think that if my clients did something, it's because I didn't pre-warn them. It's because I didn't get out ahead of them. So talk to us a little bit about that philosophy before we wrap this episode up, and I kind of get a chance for people to connect with you as well.
So I actually have a book club going on right now, and it's the two other people beside my son that we went to Maine for the Origin camp back in August last year. Shout out to Andrew and to Joe Jitsu. We have a weekly. We have the workbook, and we're almost done with it, and we go over a chapter in each work, in the workbook. But the reflection or the reflexive action is usually not taking ownership, at least not for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have to think about it like, oh, I can't believe this agent won't text me back, right? How many times does that happen?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what am I doing? What am I not doing to get their attention? They must be busy. What can I do? So maybe I'll email them at the same time, or maybe I'll send them a video message, or, without being super intrusive, or maybe they put something in the MLS about don't text them. So, how can I be responsible, or how is this my responsibility? And, there's no, if you've read the book, there's the story about Team 6 and Team 2, the rowboats, and how they took the good leader with the crappy team and they switched him out, and the crappy leader, he ended up destroying the good team. So, right now it's just me, but, my clients, sometimes stuff happens, it's beyond our control, but somebody's got to be responsible for it. Somebody's got to grab onto it and come up with the solution. The book, which, if I can roll Ray 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
So here is the first edition.
Wow.
This is Jocko, I know what I'm talking about. But anyway, there's so many rules in there that apply, that are from SEAL training and from combat that apply in life. Decentralized command, the fog of war, planning, strategy. If you haven't read it, you got to read it. And if you don't like to read, get the audiobook, which is actually even better because you've got Jocko and Leif Babin, and Leif talks like this, and it's pretty entertaining. It's really good. Yeah, so good stuff. Everybody should read it. And it's easy to point fingers, but you got to take the bull by the horns and take responsibility for things. And discipline equals freedom. So that's one of the tenets in the book. And default aggressive. So always be out there making those calls. Discipline equals freedom. Stand by to get some when you're like going into a listing presentation. And my daughter calls me a Jocko fanboy. I guess I am, because
well, it's easy to be, I feel like, in this day and age, right? Because like you mentioned earlier, we're all waiting for the attack, right? We're all waiting for someone to come cancel us, or and to me, how you are on social media should be how you are in person. How you deal with your friends is probably how you deal with your clients, right? You ultimately are looking out for everyone's best interest. And I think that overarching theme of extreme ownership, to me, is one of those that There was, I think there was a video out that Simon Sinek did, and he studied the SEAL team, and he looked at these 9 different, quarters. So there were 2 axes. One of them was for performance, and then the other one was for trustworthiness. And so down here, you've got a low performer with a very low trustworthy ability, right? Like not many people trust them, and they're not high performers. Well, you would think the person up here that's a high performer and high trust would be someone that you'd want to hire onto your team, or that I would want to employ in my team. And it's not true, because they tend to be like us. They're drivers, they're high performers, they're super trustworthy, but there's this clash there. There's this friction, if you will. So he said that what they look for in the SEAL teams is a very high trust, but with the ability to improve their performance. Because we're all in, whether you're in business, in jujitsu, in developing magazines, selling advertising, all of it to me is, all interrelated or connected in some way. And so, like you, I think about it just very differently, and think about it almost like jujitsu, where I'm waiting for that next move. I'm waiting for that opponent to do something. And like with our clients and like with other agents, and I think it's all directly related. But anyway, we could talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
So Mike, for those that are watching that are like, you know what, we know someone in Southern California that's thinking about buying, selling, or investing, or if it's them, or if they're an agent that's watching this, what is the fastest way for them to get a hold of you?
Text me, 909-247-0374, or email Mike@building, and that's BLDG Realty.com.
Short and sweet. I like it.
And that's it. Yeah. So you could follow me on Instagram, but you might get your feelings hurt. So, and that's something I got to work on, but hey, it is what it is.
No, I see the people that go and follow you on Instagram, they're going to either love you or they're going to hate you, right? Like that's all of us, by the way, because, I don't get too political. I certainly don't talk about religion. I don't talk about a lot of things on there, but it's just because that's not who I am. I don't think about that stuff. Like that's not at the top of my brain all the time. But to me, what I've found about social is they love you or they hate you.
Bold agent. So if that tells you something about what you can expect, that's my handle on there.
So. I love it. Well, Mike, thanks again so much for taking the time. And if you reach out to Mike, he'll be sure to connect you with an agent either in an area that he doesn't serve, or if you're looking at Chino Hills, right?
Chino Hills, the Inland Empire is my, kind of my backyard. So, but if, I'm 47, been around a while. I know quite a bit. That's debatable, but I can help you out or get you in touch with somebody that will take a good care of you. So.
Well, one of my favorite other people is from your area as well. I don't know if you've ever seen the pond digger rolling around there, Eric Triplett.
No.
He builds these ridiculous ponds
all
over Southern California.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to look that up because I have a few clients that.
Yeah, his office used to be around the corner from you somewhere there, but now he's out. I can't even remember the name, but he just bought a ranch like 2 years ago, cool. and has a whole thing going on there. But anyway, awesome. Cool. Well, thanks again, man. Really appreciate your time. Hope you have a great weekend.
Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'll see you on TikTok.
Thanks so much.
Take care.